Published today is the nftstorage.link client library that's got one super useful function that it exports for client-side applications. It's called get gateway URL. Essentially, what it does is it gives you back an nft.storage.link gateway URL, given like a CID or some other gateway URL. And what it does is it checks behind the scenes to see if the nft.storage.link gateway is up or not. And if it's up, then it will give you back an nftstorage.link gateway URL, and if it's not up, then it will give you a dweb.link gateway URL. So this is useful for eventualities such as when Google decides to block nft.storage.link, the entire domain for all clients. So anybody using an application that shows some content from nft.storage.link, when Google has blocked the entire domain, will show a big red screen, which is not good. So what this client library does is it allows us to flag to clients when the nft.storage.link gateway is not working properly. So it could be because of the Google blocking it, but it might be because it's down for some other reason. And actually, what they should be doing is checking a different gateway. So this is just a single layer fallback. It's not guaranteed that the fallback that it falls back to, which is by default dweb.link, is even up. But that's what it does. So what I've done here is I've got this library. It's really simple. You give it a CID, which is it's a CID, and it gives you back basically a nft.storage.link URL or a dweb.link URL if the nft.storage.link gateway is down. And so you can give it like a CID with a path on the end. It will do the right thing. You can give it an IPFS URL. It'll do the right thing. You can give it an existing, like any gateway URL, so path-based or subdomain-based URL, and it will give you back the right thing. So you can also specify which fallback gateway you want to fall back to. So if this one's down, then it will fall back to IPFS.io, but by default it will fall back to dweb.link. So anyway, what I've done here is I've published this application, this library, and then you can use it in applications basically. And what you would do, so let's have a look. I've created an application here using React. I've installed the client library. And it's used in this application to determine if the gateway's up and basically spit out the right URL. So let's have a look at that. Here it is. So we give it a CID and it renders a link. So this link at the moment is nftstorage.link. You can see in the bottom left corner there. And this image, if I inspect this image, you can see that this also comes from nftstorage.link. I've got a little checkbox here which allows me to simulate a bad status. So if I check that, you'll see that this rendered link becomes dweb.link, and the image comes from dweb.link as well. Interesting. You can try a different CID to put it in, but also if we go back to that one and put in like an IPFS URL, then it will still do the right thing. Okay, rad. So how does it work? Well, there's an API. It's just a static API, essentially, and that's interesting. It's just a static API, and it's deployed on DigitalOcean apps over here. The API is just api.nftstoragestatus.com, and it just gives you back a JSON file which has the status OK. And this is actually run from a environment variable which we just set over here. It's currently set to OK. If we change that to like down, for instance, and save it, what DigitalOcean will do is it will rebuild the application and deploy it. But it's just a static site, so it should scale really well, allow lots of people to be hitting it to get the status. So what happens is it builds it, it deploys it, and then essentially this status value should change to be something different. So it takes takes a minute or two to deploy. Oh, build phase, here we go. Building. So the idea is that once we get informed that our gateway is down for whatever reason, then we can go and change this value, and our API will should hopefully reasonably quickly start returning a different value for the status. So this is still, it's taking a second or two to build and deploy. There we go. Okay, so it went live while I refreshed, and now the status is down. So if I check this again, let's just clear out these. So these are already rendered here, so they've got nftstorage.link. But if I now change this to this value, then I should be getting a dweb.link URL, because the API which it calls out to says that it is down. Cool. Okay, and so that value is like cached for like 60 seconds on the client. So if there's lots of images or links to render on the page, then it doesn't end up sending like 1,000 requests to our service. Yeah, and it doesn't kind of recheck it. It only checks when you ask it. So it's not like so if you leave the page open and it doesn't, the link just won't automatically get re-rendered. But anyway, you get the idea. Yeah, that's it. Pretty simple, huh?